Grand Rising family, is Shay Seeking, and this is Not Your Mama's Bible Study, along with a little bit of His Stories Lies. Today we're going to be looking in the book of Revelations again. So again, what I see here consistently seems like some type of, I won't say ritualistic, but it's definitely some type of reoccurring, okay, uh, roles to a certain extent when it comes to this book. Okay. So again, we may be seeing things, okay, in this text that have necessarily happened already, but again, the people that we are dealing with today uh, may be playing parts, right, along with the mm, it's hard to explain. Okay, so what I'm saying is, although these things in Revelations, okay, most of these things have already like it says have come before and all these other things like this, the way that it's spoken in the book. What I'm saying is, okay, let's see, what I'm saying is things in the book of Revelations have obviously, some of these things have already come to play towards when we get towards the and again, I'm seeing things from the 1800s, most definitely, from doing so much research within that era. And then I'm also seeing things that are also happening now. So again, whether this book here, okay, is something that has something that we would call like a ritualistic things that have to occur or occur every so often. Um, or again, this could be a somewhat of a plan. Again, we're only in 2020. Okay, if the regular everyday people in America, okay, did not were not able to interpret and also purchase and actually read the biblical text until the late 1800s, early 1900s. So again, when someone's telling you about the 1611 Bible, okay, I would have to, again, unless we're dealing with something else on another realm here, right? I would have to see a actual printing from 1611, read that text to make sure that all of these things that I am reading here, because there's no one that was reading the Bible in 1611 that is alive now that can tell you for sure what was in the Bible when they had it, right? One may, I forget when it was that the printing press was available here and being run in America, but the whole thing is no one can confirm that. And someone can produce a book, or even when I'm looking at these things here on Google Books, um, that may say that it was printed at a certain time. Again, I really think that that's not really a thing. I mean, I look at and collect a lot of books. I haven't seen them all, old books, but you can tell from the texture, the smell, the texture of the pages, the way that they're put together, the binding and stuff. You can kind of tell if you're looking at a book of antiquity. So we don't have to go that far back. What I'm telling you is that we could very well be seeing a plan, not a prophecy, but a plan as to what is to come. Because again, the same original owners, okay, uh, the ones who have been running things and keeping all of the documents in sealed and away from the public, okay, they are the ones that have been continuously in their bloodlines running things from the top. And they have all of your information and all the information about these things tucked away from the public. Okay? So, again, it's very easily that we could be predicting what's going on, you know, in today. Again, if things were added or if things were planned out in the 1800s. That's not that long ago. Okay? So, again, couple things that we're looking at here. I was listening to this guy speak. Now, okay, so again, you guys, I already did a video on the 144, okay, and this is the time that we were looking at in that video, and we were comparing it to, I believe, the same text here. about the colored infantries. Again, why are they calling them infantries? Okay. So again, the infantries in the song that they sang. I think they even had a song about John Brown. So again, this whole thing is going to loop back into talking about John Brown and then some conspiracy, so-called conspiracy. I don't like to really use the term. Okay, alternative information, we'll say, that has been said about Abraham Lincoln and his father, and lots of stuff going on here. Like I told you guys, this gets really messy and really crazy, so you have to really have an eye. Okay, so again, let's see. Mm, okay, so we're in Revelations 12, and it's talking about, I think. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's late, and I better hurry up and do this as fast as I can. So again, it's talking about a mighty earthquake. Okay, and it's talking about let's see. Okay, so 12, Revelations 12. So it says, then a great pageant appeared in heaven, portraying things to come. Uh, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. Okay, so this, I was thinking about that too. That has something to do with something else when it comes to the okay, with the moon be uh, goodness. I don't know if I'm thinking celestial or just yeah, um, yeah, on that realm. Okay, there's another word, but again, you guys know how it gets when it gets late for me. With the moon beneath her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head, she was pregnant, and screaming in pain, her labor awaiting her delivery. Okay, so again, it's talking about the dragon. Okay, she gave birth to the boy who was to rule all nations with a heavy hand and was caught up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness where God prepared a place for her uh, to take care of her for 1,260 days, which is 42 months. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the 42 months over here in 13. But it said there was a war in heaven. Again, when we're talking about there's a war in heaven, some people are thinking of like these spiritual beings flying around with these spears and scepters in their hands and things like this, or on top of clouds, a big, strong, so called Caucasian man, and then all of these other things. But again, when we're bringing it back down to reality here on this channel, we may very well be speaking of uh, a war in heaven, meaning that this was a battle in their realm, and what we call today the elites, right? So what we would call the elites um, were having a war amongst each other and using the people as pawns in the game in order to get something, something's going on. We definitely see that there's something weird going on when it comes to your politicians and what the fuck they got going on. It's just a lot, okay? So again, a war in heaven basically would just be how we're having a problem right now where these people would what did Farrakhan say a while back? If Satan cast out Satan. So again, um, I don't know uh, what we're actually witnessing here, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more things going on in that realm than we know or see. So it says Michael and the angel under his command fought the dragon and his host of fallen angels. Again, um, so this is somebody fighting against the dragon, and his host of fallen angels. A fallen angel, again, we get this religious aspect of it. But again, when we're looking at real life history, the fallen angels will be nothing but abolitionists. Okay. Uh, uh, we can go when we're talking about the Confederate and the, uh, okay. So when we're talking about mm, a war in heaven, that's what we could be talking about. The left and the right wing going at each other. Okay, and we getting wrapped up in it. Okay, and the fallen angels could just be speaking of the army men that separated from whatever the government was doing because they did not like what the outcome was, and so again they fell. Okay, and then even when we're talking about they had sexual intercourse with the daughters, well, really don't always go there. When we're talking about daughters, we're not always talking about females or women or girls, and we're talking about what else, and we're talking about shoot, the daughters of men. um yeah, this could just be speaking of intercourse. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. They always like to try to put sexual in front of it, but even if you look at the term sexual in etymology, you're not always getting that act, but it's like a going together or joining with, and you know, uh, planning something again, right? Which would, in this case, if these were foreign armies or militant groups or whatever gathering together to go against, right, God or something in that sense, right, or the government, okay. Again, because these would have been probably poor whites that would have had a problem with the government in the first place, just like we see right now with the whole can't breathe and things, okay. And everybody's joining hands again. They're trying to cover it up by talking about the whole world is protesting about George Floyd, okay. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know if it was or wasn't, but again, um, you see that now there's a spirit on the plane where people that didn't ever have anything to say about the treatment of so-called African Americans or blacks in America are having something to say, and this is whole entire nations. But again, I'm pretty sure there's some people protesting against that, but then we also know that everybody is tired of these people, but they will not report on that. This is why sometimes when they show you these news reports about these marches, they're not actually letting you hear what's going on. They're talking about it's live, but there's no sound. So again, pay attention to things like that. Okay, so it says the dragon and his host, and I was trying to find out who the dragon is, but again, I sometimes I'll do this and I'm trying to pin something together for you guys, and it'll take 4 extra hours, and then I feel like I just give up after I get so much little bits and pieces and have to read through so much that I don't even put the video out. So the great dragon, the ancient serpent, again, so this would be someone of old, right? Just like we would say the Nephilim or the men of old, men of renown. Again, and I always tell you that these men of renown would be those of antiquity, right? That would have some kind of footing, okay, in the land. Um, Again, and they may be trying to protect that small wealth that they have from other foreigners coming in and taking it. Again, that's not what I'm saying is happening here, but I'm just referring to that. So the great dragon of ancients, the ancient ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, the one deceiving the whole world. Again, now it would be up to who to see who was deceiving the world. Maybe this person just thinks that he's deceiving the world because he actually was telling the truth about something that this person did. Or maybe again, this is this person's opinion to think that someone is deceiving, the world. Again, to how many people felt like they've been deceived. Again, okay, so uh, okay, the whole world was thrown down um, onto the earth with all his army again. So that means that they would have died again, literally, or by um, losing their standing in law. Okay. Then I heard a loud voice shouting across the heavens. It had happened at last. God's salvation, the power of rule, and the authority of his Christ are finally here. Okay. So, for the accusers of our brothers has been thrown down from heaven onto earth. He accused them day and night before God. They defeated him by blood of the Lamb. Okay, and again, are we doing this whole thing with the whole blood of the Lamb now? Did they just use this sacrifice? See, because this is, again, I see what I'm trying to tell you is that we're seeing what happened then now. And so it may even, some of the things may, and that's what we have to figure out what we're really dealing with here, because this is very calculated, right? Um, so again, thinking of this George fella as a lamb, right? Okay, led to slaughter, even. You know what I'm saying? So, or just like the scapegoat, or I was speaking to someone about this a while back, and I can't really put my finger on it right now, because I don't know if I ever explained this to you guys, but when I'm reading this stuff, so many things are trying to be relevant and trying to point themselves out to me, and this is why I skip. I think I miss a whole bunch of information, because it's hard to stay focused when there's so many things coming in, right? So rejoice, O heaven. Um, okay, so now it's going to be talking about in my vision. So it says, now in my vision, I saw a strange creature rising out of the sea. Again, this could actually be, a strange. We're not thinking of the Loch Ness monster now here. We're talking about maybe a strange boat or ship, or a strange looking fella coming out of a sea of people, or a group of people. It has 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, and 10 crowns upon his horns, and written were blasphemous names, each one defying and insulting God. Again, I know this doesn't have anything to do with it, but right then it just brings to my mind people picketing and holding up those signs that are saying Black Lives Matter when there's no such thing as black people. Anyhow, because ye are gods, right? Just saying. This creature looked like a leopard, but, had bear's feet and the lion's mouth, and the dragon gave him his own power and throne of great authority. I saw that one of his heads seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed. All the world marveled, okay? So again, I think that this is supposed to really happen again, that the world is going to be shocked, okay? Possibly when they see this person again. Um, and I'm wondering who that person will be for us, okay? So they follow the creature in awe. They worship the dragon for giving him such power, and they worship the strange creature. Where is there anyone as great as he? They exclaim, who is able to fight against him? Okay, so then the dragon encouraged the creature to speak great blasphemies against the Lord, and gave him authority to control the earth for 40 and 2 months. Okay, so this guy right here is talking about how he wanted people to know that. Well, let's just see if we can hear it.
Every major battle of the Civil War.
Wow.
So I just like to point out, and I think some historians have said this, that sometimes we think that our ancestors were freed, but actually they freed themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's a good thing to keep in mind as far as like historical accuracy. Another thing I do want to go back to the group itself. How many members are part of the group?
Right now we have 6 members
Okay.
of the United States Color Troop Ensemble, and we're looking to have probably 12
Okay.
members. Um, we have first tenors, second tenors, baritones, and basses. So if anyone is interested in joining us, please contact me.
Okay.
You can reach me at
Okay.
area code 757
He may have already said it.
decided to adopt basically General Butler's policy about some border states, how
Mhm.
they, and on that anthology of black music or African music from
Okay.
the
So anyhow, he's going to talk about the fact that they have a special thing that they group that they have, and they research colored African, Native American, and Indian um, ancestries and stories of history or whatever. and they have this group or whatever that's what they kind of spend their time doing and teaching it to other people. Okay, and the connections between all of those people. So I thought that was interesting. And then they're gonna sing this song right here. Let's see. Over down Moses, away down to Egypt's land, and tell King Pharaoh to let my people go. Your foes shall not before you stand. Oh, let my people go. And you'll possess fair Canaan's land. Oh, let my people go. So now that's funny how they said fair Canaan's land. Okay, because again, all we talking all American history up in here. Okay, so they sing this song or whatever, and so that made me think some of the things that he said. Let's see. Let's see. He said something else at 9 minutes that I marked down that I wanted to listen to real quick.
At Fort Monroe. It's called the Song of the Contraband.
Okay, the song of the contraband. And I don't know what contraband is, but it sounds like something that the police would be looking for if they was in your car. So, stolen or some kind of something you're not supposed to have. So again, it just makes me think about who were these people, how were they stolen, or you know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know a lot to take in. But let's keep on going and reading the text because I have a lot to show you guys. So let's see. So then I thought it was funny how this right here talks about, let's see, how Moses shaped America um, from the Revolution to the Cold War. The Old Testament hero has been the country's defining religious symbol. See, religious symbol. Whenever they put religious, I just think just okay. And again, and it's kind of like we're reliving it as well. So even when we're looking at civil lie, it's kind of like lies. I don't know. I just think of religious as the lying, um, uh, deceptive part of the word in anything that has to do with anything. And I think it was made to give us a false narrative and a false notion and a false perception. And that when you start reading the word, you'll be able to see things. And then they do little things like this and say, oh, people are saying that the story sounds similar. You know what? It is the same story. So, just saying. What we can learn from Moses today. So, Americans face a similar moment of chaos after the revolution. One Connecticut preacher noted that Moses took 40 years to quell the Israelites, uh, grumbling, now we are acting the same stupid part. Again, that could be true. This part, yes, because um, it depends on who uh, dates are very important right now, and I can't do them all. Just because I see it, don't mean that I can put it all together that quick. And again, it's just a lot of work. Um, but again, if we're talking about around Abraham Lincoln's time, then Moses Lincoln would have been. There was a Moses Lincoln in 1770 something, and I think there was one later on. So again, this could very well be talking about reliving his ancestor Moses, not the 6,000, 3,000, 6,000 years. I mean, unless we can count that up and it, adds up, but not the portrayal of biblical times that we see. So, we're acting out the same stupid part, and just as reluctant, Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. Again, you heard the guys singing that song. We know that their ancient Egypt was in America. So again, they can try that, but it's just not going to work anymore because some people are putting things together that, you just have to look into. Handing down 10 Commandments. A reluctant George Washington led the colonists. Again, okay, so if we're talking about George Washington, then we would have been talking about Abraham Lincoln's ancestor. Okay? then presided over. Again, this is the same term that the Genesis uses when he told them he wanted to make a man to preside over the day and preside and uh, something through the night. I can't remember what term was used, and I don't want to mislead anybody. Um, okay, so he presided over the drafting of the Constitution. Okay, so again, 2/3 of the eulogies at Washington's death compared the leaders and the fathers of American nations to the first conductors of the Jewish nation. Again, they compared them to them because what I'm trying to show you is that the founding fathers that they show you after everything was established, the firmament or the foundation was laid, that is George Washington and then on. John Adams, all of these people. But John Adams is still an Adam, an Adams, okay? And he, in Washington, still stands for washing something white or washing it, making it whitewashing, okay? This is a thing, guys. And then you can go back and see that their ancestors were in the land. Again, we'll bring up that term prior to the names being put in the book. Like here, it says in Revelations 13 and 8, all mankind whose names were not written down before the founding of the world in the slain lamb's book of life. So in the slain lamb's book of life. So that means the lambs that died on the cross. That's why they show you the lamb on the cross sometimes instead of Jesus. They'll rather show you that than show you probably a melanated being, man, that would have been, again, because animal also is used to describe people when you look it up in etymology. So um so yeah, that's just kind of, and this has been said several times about the book. It wasn't written in the book before. Well, Samuel Adams, again, Adam, okay, another Adams, okay. He was one of the signers of the uh, Constitution, I believe, or the Declaration. I get them mixed up a lot. There's lots of people. Even we talk about the Webster's Dictionary. Webster, his family line has something to do with some of these things too. So again, they're playing with you because the founding fathers, grandfathers, okay, were in the Old Testament. The founding fathers are in the New Testament. Your ancestors of the old world, the hidden story, right? The hidden away story, those are your ancestors that's being talked about in the Old Testament from the old world. The new, okay, would be why I can read this and show you where we're talking about in Exodus, we're talking about the so called Black Exodus or the Indian Exodus, or we're talking about, um, let's see, uh, slavery when we're talking in Deuteronomy that is talking about certain people, because again that's recent kind of history to us because these are things that they taught us a limited amount about in school to regurgitate and make us think that we know something about these people, when then you really get down to the nitty gritty and start picking up some of these books of antiquity, you'll see that the storylines and almost the dates even match, okay, to a T. The number of casualties, the terms will say Red River, but it'll be Red Sea. You see what I'm saying? So again, and then both places we've been able to find again some when we're talking about the Red River here, and then the Red Sea in so-called Israel today. Okay, so again, this is how they wordplay. Okay, this is just the stuff that I can see through because I've done the research on both the things. Okay, while Moses was unifying, okay, so let my people go, and then it says a generation later, he got dragged into an issue, most divided country. Again, when we're talking about the country even being divided at that time with the Confederates, and then the other, there was a Confederate president, I believe, and then there was a regular so-called president. And so there was a lot of stuff that we didn't go into detail about in school, or I wasn't paying attention. Um, that is, I feel, was written here when I guess it was divided by the North and South. Okay. The Israelites' escape from slavery was the dominant motif of slave spirituals. Included turn back Pharaoh's army. Okay, go down Moses. So these are all songs that I guess these people uh, songs and oppressed that they couldn't stand. Let my people go. Again, this is what this guy was talking about. Uh, that his ancestors freed themselves, but they'll have you think that somebody else did it. But again, he was saying that these colored people got together and freed themselves. So again, and if it was some kind of defeat, then maybe nobody would want to teach it to you in that way. But again, so spiritual sent coded messages, as Frederick Douglass wrote when he and his comrades sang "O Canaan, Sweet Canaan." Again, we're talking about the biblical history in America and not that long ago. I am bound for the land of Canaan. Overseers, again, we're talking about overseers in the Bible. Matter of fact, I have some stuff up about overseers that we wanted to go into when I'm looking at law, and then we're going to go into the scripture and look at combine those things. Okay, so believe they were worshiping a white god, the white god, but to them it meant they were about to escape on the Underground Railroad. Okay, movement's famous conductor Harriet Tubman was called the Moses of her people. Okay, again, now this reminds me also of God preparing a place for her to go. I mean, we won't go that, but this is the same thing that we're talking about. Okay, so let's see. Exodus attack of slavery. Da, da, da. Slaveholders. Again, you guys can maybe. This is called. Let's see. How Moses Shaped America. Um, and it's by Bruce uh, somebody, and Monday, October 12th, 2009. Um, let's see. Okay, so we have a lot to look over. But anyways, you guys can look at this if you want. This is not even the first page. This is like the second page. I'm going to go through it and read it later on. I just wanted to kind of get it out there. Okay. So then I started to look because I was reading, I think, Frederick Douglass's book.